You guys, this is it. This is the moment. Blake Lively has finally revealed her smoking gun. And I'm going to discuss it with Lauren Knighty. But first, we have to talk about the Taylor and Travis of it all because they seem like the perfect couple, but I'm sensing some red flags. This is No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. And dive in we shall. Forgive me, I'm still recovering from my sinus infection that is slowly, little by little, getting better and better and better. I'm going to be doing a bonus episode on No Filter All Access because last night I went to Spotify's Wraps party and I saw so many people. And one of those people that I encountered last night was none other than former podcast co-host of Justin Baldoni's Liz Plank. And yeah, what a time. I was hanging out with Whitney Cummings. That was so much fun. We saw Zara Larson. That was quite the show. So much to get into, and I will dissect it all on No Filter All Access, so stay tuned for a bonus episode. And Lauren Knighty from the Court of Random Opinion will be here later in the show. On the second half of the show, we're going to get into all of the latest Baldoni and Blake stuff because Blake has filed her response to the motion for summary judgment that the Wayfair parties have filed. She's dropping all of her evidence, and I think we may have found the smoking gun that buries Baldoni. So I'm going to dive into that with Lauren Knighty. We're also going to talk about Andy Signor losing his case against Blake in Florida. What does this mean? What's left? Is he going to appeal? What does this mean for the rest of the creators if she decides to point her target towards us? Why was Andy's case different than Perez Hilton's case in Nevada? We'll get into all of that. But before we do, we're going to get into the Taylor and Travis of it all. We're also going to talk about Mel Robins. She was just on Bill Mahr's podcast and a lot to get into there. But to help me break it all down, I have back on this week. It's a double dose, a double delight. I have Sean and David back again. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello. Happy to be back again. You get us twice this week.
I know.
Oh my God. Kristen says tickets are on sale at the AMC for Stranger Things finale. I know, but they're all sold out in LA. I already tried.
Is that just for like the very last episode?
The very last one. They're doing special screenings around. Tanya says Taylor and Travis should be on Disaster Daters. Actually, I think Sean should be on Disaster Daters, you guys. Maybe we'll have, if you're coming to LA anytime soon, I would love to have you on Disaster Daters.
I will actually commit to making a trip out to LA for Disaster Daters, but you got to film it on a weekend.
That's possible.
When do you guys film? I'm a disaster.
I am willing
December
to do
14th. Right when you're in town. Right when you're taping Jubilee.
Oh, actually?
No, I don't know. We don't have set. We're pre-taping everything for Valentine's Day. So
that would be my luck.
Anytime between now and Valentine's Day.
Well, let's take that offline because I actually will make that commitment. And just to note, the woman who commented that, I actually was going to bring up your comment. So Zack beat me to it, but I was going to bring it up and offer myself up. Anyways, so I'm glad that you called me out, Zack.
As Sean does often, offers himself. Okay, let's talk about, since Sean, I know you're a big Swiftie and we didn't get to this on the list of topics yesterday. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, they apparently, in all of their 2.5-year relationship, are claiming that they've never once had an argument. And people are saying, whoa, that either means this is a fake relationship and it's not real. It's all for PR and publicity. Because if you actually love somebody, of course, you're going to argue with them. Or they're saying that this is a major red flag and maybe there's no depth to their relationship. What do you think, Sean?
So if you actually watch the clip of Travis, this is my view on it, which take it as you will. The clip of Travis, it's a clip with George Clooney, and George Clooney claims that he and his wife have not fought in 10 years. And the word that was used was fight. not argument. It's not that they haven't had a disagreement. He says fight. He also like laughs when he says, I don't know if you have the clip, but he kind of is like, not once. Yeah, if we watch the clip for context.
Let's watch the clip for context, because Sean's gonna go to bat for his girl.
You better believe it.
Although I don't know if Sean is the right person to trust for healthy relationship advice, but let's listen to what Travis had to say.
You claim that you and your wife haven't gotten in a fight in 10 years.
That's right.
Are you lying?
No, I'm not lying, Travis.
I'm just asking.
Shall we ask you the same questions?
Well, it's only been 2.5 years, and you're right. I haven't gotten in an argument. Never once.
Honestly, neither of us are going to win the argument, so why get in it?
There we go.
There you go.
What's the secret to just staying out of the argument altogether?
Dude, I'm 64 years old, and what am I going to argue about at this point?
Yeah.
I met this incredible woman that she's beautiful and smart and stands for all the most important things that I believe in the world, and I can't believe how lucky I am. So what am I going to fight about?
It's a great answer.
God damn, that's a good one.
Yeah, you can use that if you want.
I'm stealing it for sure.
I'm just taking notes this whole time, big guy. You don't even know.
Exactly.
So, like, to be fair, he goes, not once, and his eyebrows go up and he kind of sits back. So it kind of, to me, one, could have been, I initially perceived it as kind of sarcastic, like, oh, we've never had an argument, not once, which there was like a slight sarcastic tone to it, but let's just pretend that, I misperceived that. I think that to say that you haven't gotten into a fight doesn't necessarily mean that you've disagreed, or argument doesn't necessarily mean that you disagreed on things. But I also think these two are both running their own empires with their own people, and they deal with all of their own stuff, like, separately. And when they come together, it can be peaceful, and they probably do disagree on some things, but does it escalate to an argument? Maybe, maybe not. And I don't know. I think it's a yellow flag. I don't think it's red. I don't think it's green. I think it's a yellow. It's like maybe there needs to be more depth here. I don't know. But also, they both have immense empires that they're both running and building. And maybe their relationship is not about, maybe their relationship is, they're like, it's not worth arguing about, whatever. Just go along and get along.
David?
I don't know. I feel like whenever I think of Taylor and then by extension their relationship, I just see like a product, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's probably more of like maybe a front that they're putting on. And then also their fans but this kind of backfired anyway, because look what we're doing. But like, I feel like her fans and everything, they're so rabid and kind of read into literally every single thing. So if he did admit to arguing at all, they would try to figure out what it was and then try to like hyper analyze every video that they've ever been together in. And, so who knows? It just opens up a can of worms for them, I guess. But yeah, I mean, their relationship doesn't make a bunch of sense to me in the sense of like its origin story. I heard it was kind of like an arrangement to begin with. So if it's an arrangement, what are you guys going to fight about? Like, there's not that like initial, like, oh, we're so connected that like I have all these feelings and emotions invested in you, where you can actually hurt me in order to like elicit some kind of like response or fight. But if it's essentially like kind of a business thing, then who knows? But I know Sean's probably shaking right now.
Well, that's the argument that people are making online, is that this further feeds the narrative that this is likely just a PR stunt, or likely just a something that's not a real relationship, or something that was kind of just cooked up as a PR narrative, right? And then it makes sense, because they're like, well, listen, Taylor, her song started out with she was the girl with the glasses and the bleachers, and you belong with me, and then she ends up with the football player, and it's a happily ever after, and then he ends up with the big pop star, and being with the big pop star catapults him into a new level of pop culture celebrity, and now he's doing movies, and he's doing photo shoots, and he's doing fashion, and he's on stage dancing with her. So like his celebrity cachet has really gone up, and she kind of looks like the all-American sweetheart. She won the football player at the end of the day, and she's not the cool cheerleader. She's not the hot Instagram girl. She's just kind of like the cool, down-to-earth, fun girl.
And
It's
that's
the like
that's
Cinderella story, the Hillary Duff Cinderella story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I think also though, like the one thing that we have to consider is like what on earth could these two possibly actually have to argue about? Like everything in Taylor Swift's life is pre-planned. Well, the second thing first, before I go into that, this is actually the first time that we have seen Taylor Swift in a long-term relationship publicly. So she was with Joe Alwyn for a very long time, but he was a very private person, and they both agreed, because it's what he wanted, to keep their relationship extremely private. So we've never seen Taylor Swift in a long-term relationship this public. So it could also be like, I'm willing to admit that we could also see this deterioration over time. Like she was with Joe Alwyn for like 4 years, 5 years or something like that. And that came to a demise and failed. So like, who's to say? But I also just don't know that these two have very much to argue about. She has her life in very full detail planned out like 2 years in advance. Everything is planned. So, and everything is catered to. Like, what do you actually have to argue about? Like what color the wedding invitations are going to be? Like, I don't know. Like, there's nothing that
right.
Everything is
passion, Sean, when there's love, when you feel things strongly. If you don't have strong emotions, then you're not real people and it's not a real relationship. Like, it's not love if you guys aren't screaming at each other.
See, like that's how I
That's
felt.
the Latino coming out.
But that's kind of how I felt in my last relationship.
Toxica.
But my relationship before
Are we
that,
talking about your last relationship?
No, we're not. But like, I can
Are we
see where
opening that door?
I will open that door and even share about the relationship before that I think actually got me here to where I am today. That like this leads up. But anyways, no. But I think that they probably don't see each other as often as we think that they do. Like, I don't think that these celeb relationships tend to be comparable to relationships that we have. Like, they're very deeply scheduled. Their time together is even scheduled. So when you have that, you're going into it like expecting a certain thing. You know what you're getting into. Like, I don't know. Most of what couples fight about is uncommunicated expectations being unmet. And I just think that that's quite impossible with these two, because everything is communicated and planned and coordinated.
Yeah. My
Even
question
sex,
though
like
with
their
it is
sexy
like,
time is like, I don't know, it feels very stale to me. What were you saying, David?
it might be planned. What I was gonna say is like, it's kind of like thinking of like chicken and the egg, because like Taylor always seems to be like aware of like whatever political wave is happening, or not even political, but just like social wave, whatever like the ether is. And it like lines up so perfectly with like this return to Americana and wholesomeness and like that whole vibe for her to date like a football player and like say she wants to have a bunch of kids that look like her and everything. Yeah. And it's like, so I wonder, like, it's also kind of falls into everything being so pre-planned for her. It was like, is this a part of some kind of like long form PR game? Because she's like $1 billion industry. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people have investments in her and they need her to have mass appeal for years to come. They're going to turn her into Cher. You know what I mean? She's going to be up there saying, he wears short shirts and wear t-shirts at 75 years old, you know? So they need her to have staying power. So I'm thinking, like, was this all a plan? We need Candace Owens to investigate.
Candace is now going to debate. She's debating the turning point. It's going to be a full showdown.
I just want to add, like, really before we get into this, I just want to note that Taylor Swift, that there's a rumor that she has her legs insured for $40 million.
That's not
it's
real.
Actually separate insurance policies, one for each
She
leg.
stole that from Naomi Campbell.
That's not real. That's a Jennifer Aniston
She stole
rumor.
that from Naomi Campbell.
I don't know if it's real or not.
That's a Naomi Campbell thing.
But why are we insuring our legs? Are legs that fragile these days?
Because she can't perform if she loses a leg. If she loses a leg, this
Mariah
is $1 billion
Carey lays
just
down
gone.
on a couch and is wheeled around. If Mariah Carey can do it and still be the queen of Christmas, then Taylor Swift can shake it off. She can move her hips like Helen Keller.
Mariah Carey doesn't understand the life of a showgirl, okay? Those legs are very important.
Facts.
She needs to be able to do the can-can.
Facts. She can't dive into the stage in the graceful, beautiful way that she did without her legs. She could fall into the stage,
Girl,
but it's worth
bye.
$40 million. Actually, they should probably be insured for more like $500 million. But you mentioned Candace in this debate. I don't know where that's taking us. However, just wanted to point out you're correct. Taylor Swift is a multi-billion-dollar empire.
The life of a showgirl.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
that's all you
we
wanted to add.
think that Taylor and Travis are real or they're fake.
I think they're real.
I vote fake.
I just don't think that.
Tina
Well, I guess
Turner.
it is true. It is true that like there is an outcome in this scenario in which Taylor Swift wins and like maybe people are sympathetic towards her, but it would have to come, I guess, at the expense of Travis Kelce, who I don't see signing up for this if he's going to be destroyed in the end of it. Like, I don't know.
They're just not equals. He gets too much out of it.
He gets so much out of it. Yeah, I think he gets more out of it because his celebrity profile like gets to skyrocket into stardom. And then she just ends up being the sad girl with cats again at the end of the day. And like, I'm tired of that trajectory for her. Like, I actually want her. I don't care if this is fake or not fake. Well, I don't know. You know what? I just want her to like have a nice hot man that she can bang every night, even despite his hairy, sweaty back.
Okay, first of all,
that's love. I changed my mind.
He's
Anybody
so
that
hot.
loves that back loves him.
Does she shave it? Does she shave it for him?
Clearly
That's what I
not.
wanna know.
if
He's
doesn't,
just out there rocking out
Travis-
his.
Travis, if you're listening, I'll shave your back. If this is fake,
Girl.
then I'm your rebound, like right here. Because like chef's kiss, except for the GQ stuff, not cute. But when he had the stash,
He had a moment.
in the red Chiefs jersey, pre Taylor Swift, I was like actually dripping with sweat. But maybe the reason why I'm so firm, like why I'm irrational about this, and like my viewpoint is that it's real, is because I want it to be real. Like I want this for her. I think she deserves it. And I hope that it's real. And I believe that it's real. And I hope that it is because she deserves that. And I want
I think it could potentially.
I want the kids
I think it could
in the
become
basketball
real,
hoop in
like
the
some
house. Yeah.
some arranged
Like
marriages
arranged marriage,
end up
yeah,
being,
like
good.
Indian couples that are together for 50 years and they hate each other for the first 20, and then eventually they're just like, you know what? Fuck it. We're just gonna choose to love wins at the end of the
It's
day.
all right.
Love wins. Yeah.
And the reason it feels so much like a Taylor move or a product thing is also because they're so unequal that he feels like he's going to do whatever the hell she wants. You know what I mean? So it's like he's like kind of at her disposal.
Like there is no one equal unless Donald Trump and Taylor Swift got married. Like there is no other equal person.
Is that equality these days?
I'm saying that like from a publicity, from like in a name recognition and publicity standpoint, it's like Taylor Swift and Donald Trump. And I actually believe Taylor Swift may possibly globally have more name recognition than Donald Trump. Like that's like, I genuinely believe that that's possible.
Taylor.
So like who is within her, who's within her, like, who's within her atmosphere? No one.
I don't know.
We get it. She's the queen of the world. She has more than anybody. She's everything, Sean. I agree.
And
I'm a Swiftie now.
And she built it by herself. She built it brick by brick.
Yeah, with a big record label behind her that she got mad about.
Because they sold her. Anyways, okay.
Okay, quick ad break, and then we're gonna get into the Meghan Markle of it all. All right. We want to give some love in the club to this week's sponsors. First up, my pals at Nutrafol. Listen, we all know that the holidays can get busy and overwhelming, and thoughtful gifts that encourage slowing down and prioritizing self-care. not always at the top of mind, but they always stand out. So if you're looking for a gift that stands out this holiday season, try Nutrafol. Give the gift of stronger, faster growing hair. It's an ideal gift for anyone who deserves a little boost of confidence and some science-backed support heading into the new year. Look at my hair is strong. My hair is shiny. I've been taking Nutrafol for a couple of months now, so you know you can trust this head of hair. It works. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months. This holiday season, Nutrafol is a perfect gift for anyone on your list. Your mom or your aunt that's going through menopause, a friend who just had a baby and is experiencing some postpartum hair shedding, your husband or your father who relies on a baseball cap to cover up his head. You don't want that. Or your friend that has Lego hair. Also a great gifting option to give them for this holiday season. Give the gift of confidence this holiday season with Nutrafol. Whether you're treating yourself or someone on your list, visibly healthier, thicker hair is the gift that keeps on giving. Right now, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first order, your first month's subscription, plus free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and use the promo code NOFILTER. That's $10 off your first month subscription plus free shipping at Nutrafol.com, Nutrafol, Nutrafol.com, promo code NOFILTER for $10 off. Go right now. You're not going to want to miss it. And if you're thinking about gifts that are meaningful, impactful, that they're going to remember for years to come, I recommend Storyworth Memoirs for your loved ones this holiday season. I know it may sound a little intimidating at first, but it's super easy, and trust me, they're going to love it. It's a gift that they won't see coming. It's something that makes them feel truly special, and in turn kind of ends up being a gift for you too. So each week, Storyworth, they'll send emails to your loved ones with a memory-provoking question that you get to choose. Questions like, what were your favorite toys as a child? Or what are you most proud of? Then all your loved one needs to do is respond to that email with the story. They can either write it over an email or they can record it with their phone for Storyworth to transcribe. That's why it's super easy, even for your least tech-savvy relatives or loved ones. And then after a year, Storyworth compiles your loved one's stories and photos into a beautiful keepsake hardcover book, and photos are printed in vibrant colors. So it's a really special gift that, you know, customers are loving. They've printed over 1 million books and preserved 35 million family stories since their founding 13 years ago. Give your loved ones a unique keepsake that you'll cherish for years to come, and that is Storyworth Memoirs. Right now, save $10 or more during their holiday sale when you go to storyworth.com/nofilter. That's Storyworth, STORYWORTH.com/nofilter. Storyworth.com/nofilter to save $10 or more on your next order. Go right now. And then also, I know the new year we often talk about our fitness goals, but have you thought about your financial fitness? I'm going to tell you about Kickoff, okay? Because listen, we know that it's that time of year, the most wonderful time of year, but it's also the most expensive time of year. Between gift shopping, travel, holiday parties, it's easy for your credit card balance to grow faster than your credit. We've all been there. And if you're feeling the financial pressure this season, you're not alone. It's the perfect time to get your credit in shape for the new year. And that's where Kickoff, the #1 credit building app in the App Store, comes in. With plans starting at just $5 a month, no hidden fees, no credit card checks. Kickoff makes it super simple to build credit the right way while you focus on everything else the holidays throw your way. I personally love that they have the rent feature where you can use your rent payments each month to help build your credit as well. That's what I'm using to help build my credit back up. Users with a credit under 600 grew an average of 84 points in the first year with on-time payments. So you're definitely going to want to give them a try. Help your credit survive the holidays with Kickoff. For a limited time, get your first month free. Just go to getkickoff.com/nofilter today. That's Kickoff without the C, okay? So Kickoff, Kickoff without the C. Go to getkickoff, KIKOFF.com/nofilter. Must sign up via getkickoff.com/nofilter to activate offer. Offer applies to new kickoff customers first month only, subject to approval. Offer subject to change. Average first year credit score impact of plus 84 points between January 2023 and January 2024 for kickoff credit account users who started with a credit score below 600, who paid on time, and who had no delinquencies or collections added to their credit profile during the period. Late payments may negatively impact your credit score. Individual results may vary. Okay, we got to talk all about Meghan Markle, but also I'm curious if you guys caught this clip. I'll play it for us of Mel Robins on Bill Maher's podcast. Here, let's play it, and then I want to discuss.
I see so many people are upset about him building a ballroom. I could give a fuck. I don't give a shit about his
because
fucking
we're paying for it, whether you voted for him or not.
No, we're not paying for it. It's private. First of all, even if we did,
it's already bulldozed, so any time you spend burning up about it, it's already happened. You have to decide what are you going to do in response to it.
And it's like not the thing I want to concentrate on. There
Okay,
are so
that's
many
the point.
bigger things that are consequential that I don't like him doing. And they tried to gin everybody up about, well, they're knocking down the White House. They've changed the White House before. And the White House does actually need a ballroom. You know, we're a big country. We were having state dinners and people were like under a tent. I've had better parties than that. So I'm not, you know, but I still do think you have to choose your battles. You have to pick what you get upset.
Yes.
So Mel Robins is really having this like moment right now. She has the Let Them theory that's going viral all over TikTok. She has her new book that's come out, and she's really in her moment, in her element. Also, guys, we'll get to the Baldoni stuff with Lauren Knighty in just a bit. We're going to talk Mel Robins. We're going to quickly get Sean and David's thoughts on the Meghan Markle stuff. But with this Mel Robins thing, I personally like Mel, and I was really shocked to see her get so politically charged on Bill Maher, considering Bill's show does kind of dip into those topics sometimes, number one, but also her whole thing is the let them theory, to not allow what other people are doing affect your energy, and to see her get so caught up. And the fact that she didn't even know about the ballroom being independently funded through, you know, Trump's donors outside of White House funds, also kind of wild. But what were your thoughts in seeing, I know, Sean, you felt very passionate about this clip.
Well, I just think it was bizarre to me when I first saw it. I was like, hold on, because I like Mel Robins too. Listen, I've been watching some videos as I'm going through some relationship stuff. Mel Robins has been there for me. But then I said to myself, I'm like, am I taking life advice? Like, am I taking serious life advice from someone who fell for a fake news headline? And like, I genuinely believe it. She sat there full straight face and is like, but we're paying for it. First of all, we aren't paying for it. Second of all, the ballroom was needed. Third of all, that's like how this works, Mel. Like, remember the $5 trillion that Biden spent on the Inflation Reduction Act? Like, I didn't like that, but that's what happened. And like, I just don't, it doesn't bother me at night when I go to sleep, but like, that's how this works. But also it's independently funded. So I don't know. I just kind of felt like she really, and she's not a political person, so maybe this isn't her forte, but like, she did not have any idea what she was talking about, and then quickly pivoted to, well, but the point is actually that it's already torn down, and so we shouldn't be worried about it. Well, if that's the case, then what are you talking? Why are you pissed about it?
Let them build, let them dance. David, thoughts?
That's funny. Like, literally right as you said, she pivoted. That's what I wrote down so I wouldn't forget to say. It's like you watched it in real time, because I didn't realize she was having such a bigger moment now, because we've all seen her around for years, but like, she's smart enough to know that she's not going to sink her whole moment on Bill Maher and like triple down against Trump. You know what I mean? And she's like, yeah, move along. Like, don't do, we don't need to be focusing on that, blah, blah, blah. So I thought that was clever of her. But also I think this leans into the whole, like, yeah, we should have like good representative buildings and architecture in our country, especially if it's not coming out of public funds. Like, that's something I really appreciate about Trump. He actually launched this, and I think in his first term, which was like this beautification initiative for public buildings to stop them from all looking like communist community colleges. And I actually posted a meme about this where it's like, there are streets in Seattle and streets in London you cannot tell apart because there's this exact same architecture of like where the crumble cookie is going to be and where the tanning salon is going to be or whatever. All of these like exact same businesses that are everywhere in metropolitan areas. It's making everything so homogenized. And Trump, I think if any president's going to build us a ballroom, it should be Trump because it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be a little gauche and ostentatious, but that's what you want for a ball. A ballroom is supposed to display, it's like a military parade for gays. It's supposed to display like the power and aesthetics of the country, you know, and its history. And I'm just really glad that it's not like Obama or a Biden doing it because then it would probably be covered in like weird like very indie art or like some weird graphic thing that they're like trying to make a political statement on. Instead, I'm guessing it's going to be like it's going to honor America's history. It's going to be beautiful and covered in gold. So hey, I'm all for it.
Library, like what we definitely don't want is an Obama-esque library sitting right next to the White House. And what I think is most important, it's in the video that I made and am editing and maybe will eventually post. But like, it's embarrassing to see the White House state dinners being held in plastic tents. And then when you compare that to how China and Russia and even like small countries, very small countries, host their state dinners in these like elaborate, not even elaborate, just like common sense ballroom space because it's representative of our country, and we were representing our country with plastic tents.
Yeah, like as if it's COVID, as if we're like social distancing.
Yeah. It was just, I just found it interesting and funny that Mel Robins would even go on Bill Maher's podcast and bring up something like that and then immediately fall. Like it was such a rookie mistake, and also goes against all of her teachings that I thought was kind of hilarious.
But then she was quick with that pivot. I'll give her that. You know what I mean? She was like,
She did. She backtracked that really quickly. But okay, I want to pivot over because I talked about this on the show the other day, but I'm curious what your thoughts are before we bring Lauren on to talk all about the Blake Lively updates. Meghan Markle, there was this montage that was put together on X by this account on X called Remy is a Good Boy. And so he put a montage of all of these different photos that compare Meghan Markle, her style, her outfits, some of her mannerisms, which are seemingly very similar to Princess Diana. And in going through these, I feel like some of them kind of feel like maybe they're a little bit of a, we were just looking for similarities in certain outfits or certain poses. But then when you really look at this collage altogether and you see the number of style influences that she pulled from Princess Diana, who is the mother of Prince Harry, it is a little creepy. Do you agree or disagree, David?
Well, yeah, as the resident fashion expert, I'll take this one. Yeah, I think just like you said, when you see it within the context and not just like out of a coconut tree, you can really see that this is calculated. This is calculated. And by the way, Meghan Markle is extremely calculated. That's why she comes across so inauthentic and puts so many people off, is because like her wheels are always turning and she's constantly thinking about like what's the best way to present, not like what am I actually feeling or thinking. And it comes off as so like saccharine and just inauthentic and sickly sweet. But yeah, absolutely. I think this was premeditated because, and that's whether it's to like really ingrain into Harry's brain and like sink those claws in, but also to obviously have the correlation to the People's Princess, like the most popular royal of like the last 100 years or more. Arguably, you could say, yeah, of like the modern era period. And honestly, a part of that is probably because she died so young, because it's like, you know, you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. But yeah, I think this was obviously like premeditated and planned, and stylists are very like that too. Like they think about this very, very deeply and think like years in advance. Sometimes they think about, you know, what is the theme they're going to be bringing out? What are they trying to communicate? Because it's like a communicative art form. So, and when you're being photographed constantly, and it's obvious that she wants to be she's kind of like, she was going to become like a royal icon no matter what, because of her being like young, pretty American and married to a royal. But she's so obviously like itching for that. Like she really wants that. And I think it shows.
But is it creepy being that it's his dead mother? It's one thing for it to just be some sort of royal family icon. Like if this were Fergie and she were like, oh, I want to look like Fergie, that whatever. If she liked Fergie's hair and like was doing her hair like Fergie, that would be different than Princess Diana, the dead mother of her husband, who she claims she knew nothing about prior to meeting him. Sean, creepy
she's trying to
or
induce an
just
Oedipus complex, I think. I think
she's
trying to
hacking
induce an
his
Oedipus
she's
complex,
hacking his mommy issues.
I think
Freudian, yeah.
I think that first of all, I'm so completely worn out of hearing this woman's name. Like, I really wish that she would disappear because she is just like brutal and what is the word? Like exhausting. Anyways, when I looked at this at first, I was like, some of these are for sure like, if you're photographed every single day, where at every single moment, like you're gonna find eventually a photo that looks like something that has happened.
What?
However,
a black dress and a tan trench coat, groundbreaking.
Or yes, florals for spraying. But no, like the blue blazer and the black shirt underneath, like that definitely doesn't feel to me like super communicative of like I'm trying to. But then the bizarre photo, of the legs crossed, the black pants, the white top, the arms sitting exactly the same way. It's you're definitely copying. What bothers me about this is that, to David's point, I think that everything that she does is calculated. And while at the same time not giving her like a ton of intellectual credit, like I think that she's never really left the role that she played in Suits, which was a super 3 steps ahead calculated like role. And why I don't like this is because the difference between Princess Diana and Meghan Markle is that while they both did push back against the expectations of the monarchy and the royal family and the ways in which they operated, Diana stayed and like humanized the role. And Meghan, on the other hand, was like, goodbye. This is F you. This is a disaster and there's no hope and I'm going to take you down. So yeah, I think that what she's trying to do, if I'm being honest, maybe it's her PR people, like trying to build this connection between like Diana and Meghan. And is Meghan actually the same as Diana? The only difference is that like Diana died. And had Diana stayed, she may have done the same thing that Meghan did. It's like a salvation of her reputation, which I don't think is going to work. And I hate, because it is not what Princess Diana was doing. She wasn't trying to take down the monarchy. She was trying to humanize it.
Yeah. And
that's so creepy, the comment.
Yeah, Nancy commented Meghan wore Diana's perfume on their first date. I believe that was something that was revealed in Tom Bower's book, Revenge. Really good book. Really fucking long, but really good book. And that's so many layers to that. So, and to me, I think she preyed on Harry, hacked his mommy issues, because obviously there's going to be trauma with losing your mother from a very young age, and then being like, I have no idea who you are. And then suddenly working her way into the royal family, realizing that royal life kind of sucks and it's not what she expected. She wanted the fame. She wanted people doting on her, and then realized that like this isn't the life for her. So then she leaves the royal family, thinks that America is going to fully embrace her because they become the royal refugees that escaped Canada to come to Hollywood. And then nothing really comes of that, because then here in America, we start to see how insufferable she is. And so she loses and kind of alienates herself from most of, the culture here, the pop culture media outlets in America because they don't even like her. And then now she's trying to rebrand herself as Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. So it's like you hated the monarchy, you hated the royal family, you hated the UK, you hated everything about where your husband came from. And yet here you are still trying to act like his mother. You're cosplaying as his dead mother. And then on top of that, you're using the name Sussex. So much so that in your stupid bullshit fucking Netflix series that nobody even watches, you're going to come over here and be like, my name isn't Meghan Markle, I'm indicating I'm Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
Ugh, it's so. And can you ever imagine Diana doing that in a million years, being like, actually, it's the Duchess of whatever the fuck, It's like, shut up. Nobody cares. And you can't be like, I'm an American. We don't do royals. I don't like all these rules. And then wield that card whenever you want to play it. Like, she's just so shamelessly, like, opportunistic. And my favorite thing about this is that whenever I try to imagine Meghan Markle in my mind, the first thing I see is that when Gay Guy does the impressions of her online, do you guys know what I'm talking about? He wears the wig and he does the smile, and it's like, I have to like, wait, what does she actually look like for a second? Because I just think about him immediately. So, I mean, she's a joke. And that podcast, oh my gosh, we could do like a 10-part series on how insufferable that podcast was with that one other woman that was like, yeah. It was like the worst. That's like the woman version of like those super, super douchey manosphere podcasts where they're like, I'm a high value man, blah, 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 blah. And then the girl version is like, it was healing my inner child. And it's like, I want to die. So I think only gays should be allowed in media. I think that's my take.
Well, lovely.
I like that take. Zack, I just wanted to say one thing before you move on to your next guests and your next topic. Your Lego hair call out.
In my ad.
In your ad, while valid in this moment, because I did just shave my head, has confused many of your viewers, as there were many comments. And so I think I would just like to say to those viewers that if you are confused, you should go watch yesterday's podcast episode where the Lego hair is explained.
Yes.
I love the Lego. I think it's hot, Sean. I'm like, ooh, I just want to run my hands through that Lego hair. I know it won't move and nothing will come of it, but I just want to like rub my hands.
There's more there than people think. Like, this is not a full buzz cut, guys. Like, look, it's sticking up in the back.
Sometimes I like a little something to grab onto, just a little like,
Well,
it'll be back in like 5 days. My hair grows
by the time you come to LA.
So thick. Yeah, it'll be back by then for sure. So you've got something to grab a hold of.
All right. I'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks, David. Thanks, Sean. Follow Merck and David. Follow Sean on the right. Links are in the description below. And let's move on to all of the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni drama saga. And here to help me is the leader of Blake Lively is the coalition. Please welcome Lethal Lauren Nighty.
I didn't know I was allowed to use language like that here.
We're past the 15-minute mark.
Oh, that's right. I haven't been here in a minute. I've been busy. So I guess I forgot that you started earlier. So we're good now. I mean, I could just say it a bunch of times to get it out of my system, but I'm not going to do that.
Okay. So are you fully briefed on this response to the motion for summary judgment from Blake Lively?
I have read the motion for summary judgment. I've read the response to the motion from summary judgment, right? And I read the response to the motion for judgment on the pleadings, which are two separate things. The exhibits are like 700 to 800 pages on the summary judgment. I haven't even started looking at the ones for the judgment on the pleadings. There's a lot to go through, and this stuff started coming out last night after midnight, pretty much. I mean, there was a little bit that came out beforehand, but it's a little overwhelming even for me. So
I think it's intentionally, like, it's supposed to be overwhelming. It's supposed to burden the attorneys. It's supposed to rack up the attorneys' fees. It's a bunch of nothing, and it's a bunch of fluff that's really just supposed to take up space and kind of annoy everybody in the process of it. Right. So what were some of the things that stuck out to you? Actually, there was I saw this morning on Reddit that there's a rumor that it was actually the Wayfair parties that prepared the statement that was supposed to go out on behalf of Baldoni and crew, or Baldoni and co, about what went down on the set of It Ends With Us, that they drafted the statement for Ryan Reynolds to review and then give to Blake Lively to approve before they issued the statement out publicly. And we're now finding out that that's not actually the case. This is another Dr. Leslie Dobkin fake news story.
Yeah, so the only time I have seen that narrative came from Dr. Leslie Dobson. And in that case, so she showed a text message from one of the Wayfarer people, which was showing that message that they said, Blake and Ryan wanted them to send. And so she's saying that it was actually the Wayfarer parties who drafted that. And Leslie Dobson is notorious for being a fucking dumbass. But, and I don't like to say bad things about other creators online. I make rare exception. This is the exception, okay? But it seems that Leslie Dobson is the source for that at the moment. Like I said, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages I have to go through. So I want to leave a little bit of wiggle room to that. I could be wrong, right? I don't think that they actually did that. I think that Blake and Ryan demanded certain things and the Wayfarer parties were supposed to stipulate to that. And so they probably went back and forth about what they could say versus what Blake and Ryan initially wanted them to say. I think that's where the confusion is happening from what I can tell. But like I said, I want to leave a little bit of wiggle room for I might be wrong about that. But as far as Leslie Dobson goes, she's the one who's putting this out there, saying that it was actually Justin and Wayfarer who drafted the statement. And I would encourage the institution that awarded Leslie Dobson her degree to reevaluate their standards, as she clearly does not understand the copy and paste function. So I don't really know what else to say about that at this point. Yeah.
Well, let's also not forget that Donna and I have now revealed that those, I guess at this point we can really settle that those HR complaints that were circulating a few months ago are fake, and those were being circulated deliberately by Dr. Leslie Dobson, who is sending them to different creators and claiming that she had sources at Sony that were giving her information. And she was just telling people a bunch of out-of-pocket things that ultimately have been debunked at this point. She was even telling us, Blake's amended complaint was 300 pages and it wasn't. And she was like, it's on the docket, and it wasn't for hours. She was just saying a bunch of things that were just completely out of pocket and just false, which to me were so wild that she would just so brazenly and confidently say these things and post stuff on social media with these allegations. She claimed that there were multiple other people that had harassment complaints against Baldoni from college years. Nothing ever materialized from those alleged allegations. It just was all wild every time she says something.
Leslie Dobson is an extremely dangerous person to have any kind of license in the mental health field. So I come from a family of psych professionals. I worked in psych for several years before a couple years ago deciding ultimately that was not what I wanted to do with my life. It was too much. And I worked in the emergency room, so it was too much gore and death and self-destruction, and I was miserable. But I got out of it. But the rest of my family still works in psych. My dad, like Dr. Dobson, is a forensic psychologist. And she diagnoses public figures and does several other things that are blatantly against the ethical rules of the profession. So there's another case that I've been following with Laura Owens, the serial fake pregnancy scammer who
oh my God,
faked twins with Clayton. And Leslie Dobson, who knows nothing about that case, came in and diagnosed Laura Owens on a podcast. And that is explicitly against the rules of your profession. You cannot do that. So she actually just doesn't give a shit about who she hurts, and I feel very bad for her patients.
Was it a good diet? Was she pro Laura?
No, she wasn't. But she gave a diagnosis that didn't make any sense if you actually know the context of the case. The real issue, as far as her profession goes, is that she didn't even know Laura or ever interview her or anything like that. But she didn't even know the public information. So.
She just inserts herself into a case that she thinks is going to get her attention, that she thinks is going to, I mean, it's really just, what is it? Rage bait engagement fishing. Like, and it's wild because it's so unethical. And I remember when I would call her out on certain things, and in my opinion, not trying to be rude or disrespectful, but I would be very firm in basically being like, well, what about this? And she would be like, well, she would like dance around the subject or try to change the subject. And I'm like, well, actually, let's stay on point. What about this? And then she would dance around the subject and try to change the subject. And I'd be like, well, no, let's stick. Like, you're not answering my question. And then she'd be like, why are you being rude to me? I'm a fucking doctor. Why would I fucking lie? And I was like, whoa, just answer the fucking question. And then we'll move on from the question, but stop evading the question because you're not answering my question. And now I'm just going to stay firm.
When having disagreements with people online, using your license, saying I'm a doctor is a big no-no. You don't fucking do that. You don't want to put your license on the line like that. So anyone who actually cares at all about what they're doing is not gonna put their job out there like that and risk losing their license.
Copper Mountain, I don't think Leslie is being paid by Blake Lively. I actually think she's just doing this to get off on the attention that she's getting. Very similar to like an ex-patriarch. I think ex-patriarch puts out these very inflammatory things that he knows are going to get people riled up. And that's why I don't even respond to him much anymore. I don't really pay attention to his stuff because I'm like, this is intentional. He's intentionally putting things out there that he knows are misleading, to give the Blake bot something to, rub one out to, and then to bait all of us into sparring with him publicly.
Well, with Leslie, it's also, I think people want to hear from licensed professionals because it lends a sense of credibility to what they're saying. And most licensed professionals aren't willing to come out and be as brazen as Leslie is because they know they could be sued for that. They could lose their license over that. And she just comes out and does it. And so unfortunately, she does get the attention that she's looking for because she is one of very few people with that license who are willing to come out and say the things that she says. So people expect the credibility of someone with a license, but they also don't realize that she has the recklessness of someone who doesn't give a shit about that license. So
so other things, or I guess the me, if you want to even call it that, that's kind of come out so far from Blake Lively's response that was filed last night, correct? Is that she is now claiming that there was some incident that happened with Alex Sachs on the set of It Ends With Us, where Justin Baldoni like raised his voice and then slammed his hand down on a chair that was near Alex Sachs. And so this somehow definitely proves that she was sexually harassed and retaliated against.
So it obviously doesn't have anything to do with sexual harassment. This is just to try to paint Justin Baldoni as like some sort of controversial figure who is like rages out when women are around. It has nothing to do with sexual harassment at all. But as far as Alex Sachs goes, I don't know what to really make of that. I'll say the first thing that came to mind when I read what she said about slamming the hands on the chair was that there was a scene in the movie where he was doing that. And so it's like, so are you exaggerating something here? Because I feel like you might be.
That's what she usually does. I think I tweeted out that like at this point, every one of her allegations is like, oh my God, Justin Baldoni went crazy and was swinging his hands towards people on the set of It Ends With Us. And then we get the context of it and we see the footage and it's like, oh, there was a fly and he swatted at the fly like this. And then all the Blake bots are like, but you can see the footage. He's swinging his hands. He could have injured somebody on the set of It Ends With Us. That's so unsafe for everybody working on that set. And that's kind of how it feels like we're going. Like, she makes these wild, outlandish allegations. Then we get the context of it, which just like is really as simple as him swatting at a fly on set. And then the Blake bots are like, but you can see the motion and look at how dangerous that is. Could you imagine if Liz Plank was walking by in that moment, he could have given her a black eye.
Yeah, right.
Like, that's literally what it feels like at this point.
Liz Plank could also get a black eye if she like fell on the floor, but that didn't happen either. You know what I mean? So
yeah, also within the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
This was one of my favorite pieces that I think I sent to our group chat this morning that Lively added. She said, other actions in California set the tone for harassment.
Oh God.
Shortly after.
Sorry, this is so bad.
Shortly after Ms. Lively accepted the role of Lily Bloom, Mr. Heath, Jamie Heath, remarked that Miss Lively would be birthed into the role. a statement that sexualized her and invoked female reproductive imagery to describe her professional contributions. This objectification made from California, where Mr. Heath resides. So this is them trying to argue jurisdiction in California, but this is where they claim that this was part of the alleged harassment, is that he said that she would be birthed into this role.
Yeah. That like has always been the case. Blake Lively is her own worst enemy in the court of public opinion. And that is the same, what we're seeing now. She hasn't learned a lesson at all, because that statement right there is not going to do any good for her reputation now that she has a pattern of repeatedly trying to sexualize childbirth and compare it to pornography when it's completely unnecessary. It's just crazy that she would even say that. And I know that they were trying to establish some jurisdictional stuff there, but I think you have to weigh the risks versus rewards of trying to make an accusation like that. Not only do I think it's bullshit, but like also if I'm Blake, I'm weighing the risks and rewards of putting out a statement like that publicly. And I gotta say, I think that it did more harm than good, because even if it did help her case for jurisdiction, oh my God, you're now out there as somebody who is comparing childbirth to pornography for the second time in a more bizarre context. So,
like, such a bizarre context. Like, what? Like, this sexualized her? Like, what? And then, like, talked about female reproductive imagery to describe her professional contributions. Like, are her lawyers just fucking with us at this point? It kind of feels like they're just like, listen, she wants us to find something, so let's just try to pull whatever we can out of thin air. And it's like, when we've seen her miscategorize things or take these things so grossly out of context, it's like, how do you then legitimize even the points that maybe seem a little strong, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I just really don't have any way to rationalize this one. This is so bad. It's so bad.
Upper says wearing name tags, you can't talk about birth, absolutely no hugs, but look at my sexy boots. Did you see the video of her showing off her sexy Louboutins?
I think I did, yeah. I think I did. It sounds familiar.
Showing her boots. Yeah, she was showing her boots to the crew members on the set.
Yes, that was it. Okay. I was about to say, this wasn't something she posted on Instagram, was it? Because I had to announce in court that I blocked her on Instagram.
Oh, did you? Oh my God.
It's like, please leave me alone.
Lori says Blake has a kink about childbirth. It's really strange why her and who's the other one? Jenny Slate. They have such a weird issue with men talking about childbirth.
Mm-hmm. Jenny Slate. So let me put something else that popped up in perspective. I don't know if you read through the whole motion or not, but at one point she was saying that there was an avalanche of negative press against all the multiple women who were involved in the film because of Justin and Wayfarer, and saying that it wasn't just Blake. But the thing is, everything that happened negatively press-wise to these women was something that was pre-existing. So with Jenny Slate, she was one of the main characters in this movie. And she actually has a history. Sister. What's that? Yeah.
She played his sister, Baldoni's sister, in the movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she actually has a history of hating her ex-boyfriend, Chris Evans. And so if she got some negative feedback from fans of the book, this book about domestic violence and a woman who's supposed to overcome and break the cycle and free herself from that relationship, if she got any negative feedback from fans of the book about, hey, Jenny Slate's a bad person because she literally admitted to hitting her boyfriend on a podcast, that's not the fault of Justin Baldoni or Wayfarer. So this whole thing about an avalanche of negative publicity against women on set that Blake is trying to now say it was multiple women, not just her. It's because there were pre-existing issues in their past that, doesn't align with the values of someone who's trying to read this story about overcoming a cycle of domestic violence. So
I didn't realize people,
that's the people on the internet. They pick up on these things now. You don't need a publicist to plant that.
I didn't realize people are calling her Jenny Man Beater Slate.
Yep. I guess.
I didn't realize that was, but also that's what the internet does. Like the internet can do its own thing without anybody influencing it, because that's just how the internet is.
Yeah. And I mean, publicists, they can manipulate SEO and stuff like that, but there's only so much you can do. If there's a huge following of this book and they're like, oh my God, one of the stars of this movie has a history of hitting their boyfriend, there's only so much you can do to suppress that. And I'll admit that I underestimated what PR people can do behind the scenes. I didn't have any understanding of how PR worked in Hollywood and all that before I started following this stuff. But there's only so much you can do. The internet at some point has a life of its own, and you just can't stop it. So
now we do see text messages where Jennifer Abel talks about or is telling Stephanie Jones that she wants them, and this is pre-litigation, but she wants the Wayfair parties to have Brian Friedman represent them because he's a shark and he can bury Blake. And so that's part of what, they're using as proof of this alleged smear campaign. What are your thoughts?
Well, if he's such a shark, we're talking about Friedman, right?
Yeah.
If he's such a shark, wouldn't he drown her instead of bury her? I mean, that makes more sense. Sorry. So Brian Friedman obviously was hired as he's an aggressive person on the PR front, right? And so they needed a lot of help on the PR front. What he did and said, to me, it's a little Karen-like to come after him and say that he's part of a smear campaign. He was come out and publicly, denounced her for what she was saying about, his clients that weren't true. I think that he mostly was doing his job as an attorney. I know people argue that he went beyond the scope of what he's supposed to do, but I disagree. Just based on what we've learned in the court documents, they have clearly laid out what he said and what it was in response to from Blake's side. So Blake's lawyers come out and say this, or Blake says this to the New York Times. They say this to the press, and they show why Brian Friedman said what he said, when he said it, etc., and what it was in response to. It makes total sense that way. And I know that she doesn't like it. It hurt her feelings. But like I keep saying, life is hard. Get a fucking helmet, especially if you're going to come out and be such a public figure about this and try to champion yourself for women's rights and stuff when you, yikes, by the way, not a good look in the context of continuing to sexualize childbirth. But, if you're going to come out hot like that, you can't really, then be that upset when somebody tries to defend themselves. It's just kind of a bad look, in my opinion.
Yeah. So with everything that we've seen, because this has been almost a year now of all of this coming out, of Baldoni putting all of his stuff out there, Blake putting all of her stuff out there, redacting a lot of stuff, but still, filing these pages and pages and pages of documents and pages and pages and pages of exhibits, which really aren't giving us much. But in going through everything that we've now gone through for 11 going on 12 months, we have trial, which is 3 months away from now. Do you think that there's anything solid? Is there the smoking gun that we've finally gotten from Blake Lively that proves unequivocally that Baldoni not only harassed her, but then went on to retaliate against her with this smear campaign?
No, I think this doesn't even meet the standard for, like I said earlier, court of public opinion. This doesn't even meet the standard for those things in public opinion standpoint. So as far as the actual legal standard, which is a lot harder to prove, no, I don't think so. But I'm not a lawyer, so I could be wrong. I do think that some of this stuff will need to go to trial. I think the sexual harassment stuff, especially, I could see that going to trial. Yeah. But I don't think that they're ultimately going to be able to prove that she was sexually harassed, because I don't think she was. So.
Yeah, because they come down to, it really comes down to a matter of fact versus law. The judge can only rule on matters of law, which is why he was able to. I still have mixed feelings about Lyman throwing out Baldoni's case, because I think there were a lot of attorneys, Harvey Levin included, that was these are matters of fact that the jury should be reviewing and deciding on whether or not this is considered defamation. I understand the technicality that Lyman, chose to die on, and that's that, well, this is all considered protected speech. And so because it's protected, because it's in a legal document, and therefore it has litigation privilege, you're not allowed to sue her for any of these claims. Again, it's really murky water. You can, make that ruling off of that technicality. Sure. Should he have? I have mixed feelings about that, but we'll see what happens with the harassment stuff, because now it's going to come before a jury. And I don't know how men or women sitting in the jury pool are going to feel about this. I would think that women, seeing how she's essentially disrespecting the sanctity of motherhood and childbirth, and, reducing commonly used phrases or terms to being, sexualized, and making them seem predatory, I would think would not go over well with, the average Joe.
Right. I mean, there's some people who, read these things, especially with the Judge Lyman's ruling and stuff like that, and they make their own interpretation. Like the judge repeated, basically, he was summarizing Blake's claims or repeated that. So basically, he's saying that's true. And I'm like, no, that's not true. So you do see some people who kind of fall into a pattern of like thinking that everything she said must be real because they don't understand the court process. And I'm
Right.
seeing a lot of that lately, especially with like just random casual followers who just see like headlines and stuff every now and then. But as far as, generally speaking, the people who actually pay attention to this stuff, no, the average Joe is not going to be impressed by her claims. So.
Okay, let's get into this topic because I'm sure you've addressed it on your show. And that's Andy losing his quash in Florida. And so this person, Cozy Life, is saying that the judge has stated that Andy Signor's ruling that a smear campaign did happen. That's actually not what a judge stated at all. That's not what a judge stated. So what the judge ruled is that Andy Signor is not protected under the privileges of the press. He's not considered a journalist or a reporter. The judge is considering him a freelance YouTuber rather than an actual like news reporter journalist. And that merely comes down to the way the law categorizes journalists in the state of Florida. That's not the case in every other state. Let's not forget that a judge in Nevada dismissed Perez Hilton, and Perez Hilton didn't have to turn over any evidence or abide by Blake's requests. Now, that is a little different because Perez Hilton does have PerezHilton.com, which at this point is a news media agency. It is a publication. It's a digital publication, but it is arguably a credible publication in the realm of pop culture. Some people may categorize it as tabloidy, but it is a news agency.
Yeah, well, Perez has been around forever too. I mean, he's kind of like a well-known person as far as like pop culture news and stuff. So
yes, but to be very clear, a judge, which is the Florida judge, not in relation to the New York case that Blake Lively has against Justin Baldoni, did not determine that there has been a smear campaign. No evidence has been reported of that. Now, what they are kind of focusing on is that there are communications that appear to have happened between Andy and potentially some of the Wayfarer parties. There is a statement that Andy released. I think it's only fair that we do at least review his the press release that he put out there, because I just think that that's fair to get. And he's also, I know he's covering it himself, but here I'll put it up.
And I read through all of that yesterday. And I'll say like the person whose comment you showed earlier, I see them talking a lot in the comments here. They seem to be woefully misinformed. Especially when it comes to, they're saying that he can be held in contempt for disparaging the judge. No, Andy, like everyone else in this country, has a right to freedom of speech. He's allowed to say that the judge made a mistake if he feels that the judge made a mistake. So I feel like that person may be a little bit of a troll. But I did read the documents and I understand very well what happened. I live in Florida. I understand that the laws here are very restrictive as to who can be defined as a journalist. I actually think that it's not really a matter of whether or not the judge applied this law correctly. I think that the law needs to change with the times. What we have here is extremely outdated, and it made it an uphill battle for Andy to kind of define himself as a journalist who receives privileges. And I think that it shouldn't be so exclusionary in this day and age where the way that we consume news and report news has changed so much. But none of what this person is saying in the comments here is grounded in any sort of reality at all. So I don't know
it's
what else
inaccurate.
to say to that.
And as Michelle says, he's not being sued. It was a subpoena. She's asking that he turn over information. Andy is claiming that that information is privileged and protected. And I do agree with you. It's that the laws have not evolved with the times. And granted, to be fair, social media has rapidly, grown, and you're seeing a lot of traditional reporters and journalists that have left the traditional news media that are now coming here on social media, be it on X, be it on YouTube, be it on TikTok, or whatever, podcast forum that they want to use. That doesn't make them any less of a journalist. But here, let's read through Andy's statement. So in his press release, it says, in a ruling that has alarmed digital media experts and First Amendment advocates, a federal magistrate judge in the Middle District of Florida has denied journalist protections to Andy Signor, founder of the independent news network Popcorn Planet, solely because his reporting appears on YouTube rather than in traditional corporate media. Judge Lindsay S. Griffin ruled that Signor, despite hosting a daily investigative news platform with nearly 1 million subscribers, does not qualify as a journalist under Florida's reporter privilege statute. As a result, he has been ordered to turn over private communications with sources related to the high-profile Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni legal case, communication shared in confidence by whistleblowers fearing retaliation in Hollywood. This is a chilling attack on independent journalism, Signor said. It suggests that unless you work for a newspaper or legacy media corporation, which who does anymore, they're going out of business, you have no right to protect your sources. That is not only wrong, it endangers every whistleblower, content creator, podcaster, and independent reporter working today. I agree, and I'm seeing some of the comments from that same troll in the live chat as well, saying that like content creators are toast. Everybody that is in any form trying to report or have some sort of channel that is a content creation forum should be absolutely concerned about this ruling, because it, one, has not evolved the law with the times, but also like goes to like not protect people that are building something that can be considered, like social media has become news. That's undeniable. X has become a major source of news.
Well, things that people tweet, you know, things that people put on X as like becomes the news. So yeah, of course.
So yeah, just because you're not in a newspaper doesn't mean you're not a credible news source. X alone is where a lot of reporters go to give live in real-time updates. The press release continues throughout the case. The judge accepts sealed claims from Lively's legal team at face value while dismissing Signor's sworn testimony. By doing so, the court effectively created a two-tiered system of press rights, one for corporate media and one for independent journalists who operate on modern platforms such as YouTube, podcasts, and online publications. Legal analysis warned that if allowed to stand, this ruling would be eroding long-established reporter protections and discourage insiders from coming forward, particularly in industries like entertainment, where pressure and retaliation are common. Signor's legal team is preparing to appeal directly to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit, bypassing further proceedings in the Middle District of Florida. A petition to the U.S. Supreme Court remains possible depending on the outcome. Independent journalism is not the fringe, it's the future, Signor added. Millions rely on digital reporters for honest coverage that isn't filtered through studios, publicists, or corporate interests. If the courts erase our protections, powerful people will be able to silence inconvenient reporting with a single subpoena. To support the appeal, Signor has launched a new public campaign to raise legal war chest for what will be a significant and costly fight to defend the rights of modern journalists. He lists it here. givesandgo.com/Blake Appeal is the site. Yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately this is a battle that I don't think Andy signed up for, but an important one, because this will then hopefully modernize some of these laws and have this bigger conversation about whether creators can be considered journalists, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is something that has the potential to turn into a huge deal as far as like a national conversation, or especially just here in Florida. What's happening to Andy is absolutely wrong. I think that it puts his sources at risk as well, and they have a right to speak out on what they saw happen on sets and to have their voice heard in the documentary without, you know, everything that they've said in communications with him being revealed to Blake and Ryan, who are very powerful and will very likely try to make sure they never work in the industry again to punish them for it. So this is a classic case of harassment via the subpoena power, abusing the subpoena power, in my opinion, and trying to chill free speech and trying to scare people out of coming forward. And now most people can see, like, I know Justin has said previously that he did not want people to come forward, his friends and family to come forward in the press or anything like that. But you can see why many people were probably actually just very scared to do it and thought maybe it's not worth it when it comes to, because it's very much comes down to telling the truth or speaking their mind versus keeping their livelihood, especially if they have families. So it's a huge risk. So this law is doing a disservice not only to Andy, who's a non-party in this case, but also to his sources, who are also adjacent non-parties, who were just trying to do their jobs and then decided to exercise their right to free speech to speak about what happened while they were doing their jobs. So Blake has the right to speak about what she feels went wrong when she was doing her job, but they don't, without breaking anonymity or violating their privacy. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. And yes, his predominant platform is YouTube. However, as Kenny is saying here in the live chat, not all YouTubers are influencers. Some of them are media. That would be different. I can understand that argument. And this is why it's a case-by-case situation, right? Because if you were vlogging your daily life and you were just showing, and you were more of a, reality show on YouTube, so to speak, with your vlogs, that's very different than somebody that's reporting on current events. Sure. Andy is reporting on current events on his YouTube channel. Still the same medium, still the same forum, very different style of content. Not only that, but Andy's even taking it a step further than like you and I, whereas Andy's producing an actual documentary where he has legitimate sources that he needs to protect. And they came to him, trusting that anonymity would be upheld because of the forum that's in, which is a documentary. And so I think that's other additional valuable context that the judge just did not even bother to factor in.
Yeah. Well, I think that you said, the medium is the same as people who are journalists or media versus who are influencers or something else. The medium shouldn't matter. And I think the judge put a lot of emphasis on this is just a YouTube person. It's not they don't have a special website or whatever. The medium shouldn't matter. That shouldn't be the law. I'm not saying that it's not necessarily what the law is as it stands. I'm saying that it shouldn't be. It's wrong. But you can make a YouTube channel for your news organization and talk specifically about like local news that happens every day, or you can make a website where you just show pictures of yourself pinching your chin. So the medium is the same, but it's a huge fucking difference in what's going on there. So the medium, it really shouldn't be a thing, but it seems like it was emphasized that way.
Yeah. So. I've said from the beginning, this entire Blake Lively case was going to be revolutionary in the sense that it was likely going to open up these conversations like the New York Times and whether or not they can be protected for some of the bullshit that they're pulling and being able to hide behind the guise of press protections without the accountability of being able to just publish something like this, which was a clearly biased take. But if anything, whether there are going to be laws that change as a result of it, at the very minimum, there's a national conversation that's now being had culturally within our country about whether or not we can trust these agencies. And I'm hoping that it's enough to then get these agencies to kind of pivot and shift gears and hopefully change their ways, embrace digital media, but also embrace the fact that transparency is now something that we have access to with social media being giving information to us so readily available instantly.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned, I think, the New York Times and the Florida law. This again goes back to the Florida law, where the judge was talking about these editorial and ethical standards that journalistic organizations or these news organizations, legacy media, are held to. But as we can see now, it doesn't necessarily lead to ethical practices. I would argue that what they did was extremely unethical and unfair, and that was intentional. And so these kind of editorial standards that are in place for these organizations didn't protect people from this unethical practice. So if you're using that as a reason to exclude a journalist from privileges that protect their sources, I think that's bullshit. Unfortunately, I think the law does allow for it is the problem in some circumstances. But what I will say is that I was busy going back and forth to California covering the Laura Owens stuff while a lot of Andy's court stuff was happening, like the hearings. I have no idea what happened in those hearings. There was a lot that I'm not privy to. So it's hard for me to form a full opinion on whether or not the judge correctly applied the law, because I don't know what was said or wasn't said in those hearings that might not have come up in the opinion. So.
Yeah. And listen, and there are layers to it. Andy's addressed in his video. He's trying to appeal it. We'll see what happens. I mean, do I think that his lawyers did everything perfectly? No, based off of the information that I've gathered from the case, but this is so new that I think we're going to learn through this process, all of us together, right? I mean, even with you've never had to face being subpoenaed by somebody with money and power like Blake Lively. Yeah. And that was an uphill battle that you had to navigate. And so I think or even Perez, I know I was highly critical of Perez at the beginning when he was playing games on the docket and he was filing all of those, in my opinion, ridiculous, letters to the judge. But even he realized how that was not helping his case, and he pivoted and shifted gears and then was able to properly get this heard in Nevada and get himself, excused from that subpoena. So I think we're going through these motions. We're all collectively learning together, and I'm hopeful that it will change a lot of things, because celebrities with publicists and agencies and studios behind them have been able to play these games in the shadows for too long. And what Blake Lively really did was kind of just put the blue light on all of these tactics.
Yep. Yeah. And it's tricky that things vary state by state the way that they do, because what she can do to violate one person's privacy in one state is going to be different than what she can do to violate one person's privacy in another. So it's kind of crazy. I feel like there should be more of a uniform standard, but then we get into the issue of the federal government having so much power over the states, and that gets into a political thing. And I'm just like, that's out of my scope. So
yeah, Copper Mountain says, I think what Andy has will actually hurt Blake and weaken her case. Yes, I don't think she's afraid of it not hurting her case. I think, to Lauren's point, the intention is to find out who is involved so that they can then scare them and try to blacklist them and potentially get them to retract or pull back some of their statements, more so out of fear, right? Rather than it is to just, shut down his documentary. I think it's to try to bully and intimidate people.
I mean, that goes back to several months ago when she found out that Wayfair was doing an investigation into her claims. The studio was doing an investigation through a third party who investigates those things. And she tried to go to the court and demand all the names of the people who were involved in that and what they were saying, even though Wayfair wasn't even privy to that information, because the firm that was doing it was a third party agency. And so, it just goes back to that. She seems to try to, get all the information about what everyone is saying. And I'm like, well, especially if what you're saying is true, which I don't believe it is. If there was such a hostile set for women, wouldn't you want the women who are taking part in that investigation and trying to stop this from happening again to have their privacy and their anonymity? Why are you doing this? What's the real motive? I think we know. And she refused investigations into her claims. She refused to make a formal reports multiple times with the CRD. She refused the investigation, and then she refused to participate in the independent investigation by the third party. And so, it just shows a lot to her motives that she did that. And then she tried to harass people and scare them out of talking with subpoenas to people who she had no business asking for their private information, their location data, their credit card numbers, and all that shit. It's all to scare people. It's all to abuse people with the money and power that she has, because she can.
Yeah. Cat says, don't forget Stephanie Jones not redacting The Rock's name in her exhibits. Let's talk about the whole Rock of it all, because Stephanie Jones is now accusing The Rock of spearheading this retaliation campaign against her, which is just wild.
Right. Yeah. So this is the first I've seen of that, to be confirmed. But so this isn't just, I think what a lot of people who have seen that today don't realize, this isn't just like she said, I think it's The Rock. Katie Case, who worked for Melissa Nathan, testified in her deposition that Dwayne The Rock Johnson had something to do with the smear websites against Stephanie Jones. So it's just very bizarre. I understand that. And the limited amount of information I have about this, I want people to keep that in mind when I'm saying this, because Ashley Brianna Eve, I don't know if you know Ashley, is another content creator who's been covering this stuff. She was also subpoenaed back with me in July. She predicted that. Like, she's got a PR mind, and she goes through that stuff, and she was like, I believe it was Dwayne The Rock Johnson. At some point she said that, who was, maybe behind this, because apparently Stephanie Jones burned him pretty badly when he wanted to no longer be her client, to where she was like putting out salacious articles about him and stuff. And so apparently he's the one behind some of these smear websites or something, which I think it doesn't totally make sense to me, because a lot of it seemed to be from former employees. But at the same time, I can't totally say that she's wrong because I don't know. I don't know. It sounds like he was pretty mad. So,
I mean, I would be too if you hire somebody to be your publicist, and then as a result, they go around and try to do the complete opposite and then smear you. I would be pissed too. But I actually, to your point, I do think that it was, I mean, at least from the website that I saw, former employees that were just sick of her shit and were just like, you know what, we're gonna expose her for the shit that we've had to, deal with when it comes to her. But how is any of this relevant to the Baldoni stuff is my confusion.
So Stephanie Jones' case, the Jones versus Abel case, is separate but related. And when Stephanie Jones filed her complaint, she included, in addition to like Jen Abel and Wayfarer, John Doe's 1 through 10. And John Doe's 1 through 10 were a placeholder for the people who were behind this website, who she would then find in discovery. And so I guess Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, from my understanding, is that he will now be one of those John Does. But I'm not sure because they don't even have a trial date yet. And now Stephanie Jones is trying to do something crazy where she amends her complaint entirely. And it's there's a lot going on there that I haven't had a chance to look into yet because there's so much, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of stuff to go through that all came out yesterday. So,
well, I know you'll be covering it on your show, The Court of Random Opinion, on YouTube.
Yeah.
You go through it with your live streams, page by page by page, live with the internet.
Yeah, it was a long night last night.
Well, we love you for it. Michelle says, can we get a celebrity death match between Ryan and The Rock?
You want to see a fight between a rock and a toothpick? I mean, why would you want to do that?
He's Deadpool. What
Yeah,
does
but not
Deadpool do
really.
exactly?
Well, Deadpool, you don't know Deadpool? Like this?
No, well, I mean, I vaguely, like, what are his powers?
Let me try to explain this the best that I can from recollection. Is like he was a guy who got sick with cancer, and then he goes to get this treatment where they say they can like cure him or whatever, but it's actually some sort of mutation where he now like regenerates. So like say he gets his arm cut off, it grows back, that kind of thing. And he has like heavy strength and all that shit. So he can't like blast things with his eyes or fly, but he like regenerates and all that to where he's like a good fighter. So I don't know. I haven't seen the movies in a minute, but I did like them when they came out. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now you can go binge them again. Go
Pass.
Ryan Reynolds.
Pass.
Well, we're, what is it? For December, January, February, March. We're exactly 3 months away from trial.
Mhm.
We were expecting somebody to buckle and settle at this point, but at this point, it looks like we're going all the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't expect any settlement regarding the sexual harassment claims because if she settles or like she does something to say, okay, I digress on this, it's like her reputation is shot forever. And if he settles on that matter and he doesn't defend himself against the sexual harassment claims, he is also like, okay, well, my reputation is shot forever. And like everyone that he's associated with, his studio, his best friends, like all the people he's closest to, they want to fight this. And so they're not going to settle on that front. As far as if it was just a defamation case regarding the smear campaign, I think maybe there was a world in which we could see them settling behind the scenes. But with the sexual harassment stuff, no way. No way. Especially now after the stuff that she just came out with last night. They're going to have to respond to that within the next 2 weeks. I think the deadline was like the 19th or something, maybe sooner. It might be sooner than that. Don't quote me on that. But they're going to be able to have a chance to come back and say, hey, here's our account of what happened with Alex Sachs. Here's our account of what happened with Jenny Slate, with Liz Plank, who was brought up as well, because Blake is now saying that Liz Plank warned her before she took the gig on the movie. So, you know.
Oh, I saw Liz Plank last night.
Yeah, you said that in a text. I was like, what are you talking about?
I also forgot that I was texting with Donna this morning and I was like, I saw Liz play, I like saw her like in person for the first time, blah, blah, blah. And Donna's like, you saw her last month or in October. She's like, you went to an event and she was moderating one of the panels. And I was like, I completely forgot. And here I thought this was the first time I'd ever met. And she's like, how do you forget everything? I'm like, I genuinely just don't remember things.
Because sometimes people think that Zack is being so rude, but he actually just does not fucking know. Like he'll meet somebody 4 times and then be like, who are you talking about? You know what I mean? So.
And they're always like, Zack, like you've met this person. And I'm like, what? And then like you have to remind me where I met them and what we talked about. And then it'll jog my memory. That's why Donna, I was like telling Donna and our other friend Molly, I was like, I actually I met Liz Plank last night. Like Liz, and they were like, do you not remember? Like you saw her literally 2 months ago in LA. And I was like, I did. And I was like, and yet I didn't even recognize her face. And they were like, Zack, you know what she looks like. We've discussed this several times.
Yeah. Look, we all have our gaps in our brain, right? So
I disassociate because the world can be so heavy that I just disassociate a lot of the times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not intentional. I think that some people do take that personally sometimes, but I'm like, no, you don't understand. He's just like that. So, and you can try. Some people like you can try as hard as you can, but it's not intentional. Like some people just cannot remember stuff like that. Like I'm not good with names, but I'll be good with faces, and then sometimes it's the opposite. So it makes no sense to me either. But especially even like a group setting or something like that, just throws me off. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys, go give Lauren some love. Subscribe to the Court of Random Opinion. She dives into each of the documents page by page, live for hours on end. Do you have a cocktail with them too, don't you?
Sometimes I've been laying off that a little bit, just because I don't know, I wasn't feeling too good, so I'm trying to do better lately about my health and stuff. But
You need a hot toddy.
I don't know what that means, Zach.
It's like a tea, but it's got whiskey and lemon and honey in it, and it's supposed to help you heal.
Okay, so I just have to get all of those things, and then I can have one.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can or maybe get some aviation gin, or actually no, Betty Booze has a lovely a canned bourbon seltzer that you can try.
I will never be caught. Well, maybe someday if there's like something really important, I ever want to make a bet where I feel like this is a huge thing, like the stakes are huge. My bet would be like if I lose, I have to try Blake Lively's booze line. But other than that, it's never gonna happen. You know what I mean? So that would be the worst.
Michelle says you just have to drink enough so that you don't care that you're sick.
So I tried that for about a decade. It did not work. So I'm trying something else now. Yeah.
Pivoting. Something Blake Lively should learn how to do. All right. Thank you so much, Lauren, for coming back on. Guys, go give Lauren some love. Lethal Lauren on Twitter, the Court of Random Opinion on YouTube. Give her a follow, give her a subscribe, show her some love, send her some nudes of your boobs if you're feeling frisky.
Please don't do that. Oh, no. I'm so busy. I will not respond.
I love when people send me nudes. I'm like, hi, nice to meet you.
I actually hate nudes. I think that I'm just like, that's a vagina.
Really?
I don't know what you want me to do with it, but here it is.
You don't know what to do with the vagina, Lauren?
Not on a picture.
Oh, okay. But IRL, you know what to do.
Picture of a vagina. I mean,
you can map it out. You can draw on it and map out. Okay. These are the sweet spots.
I don't need a map.
All right. Thank you guys. Lauren, thank you for coming back on. Love you always. Appreciate you. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning into today's all-new episode of No Filter. Give Sean some love. Give David some love. Give Lauren some love. What a day. What a roster of news that we went through today. I'm finally on the mend. I'm finally starting to feel better. My sinus infection is clearing up. I had a lovely time at Spotify's event last night. I'll tell you all about my encounters with Liz Plank, hanging out with Whitney, like all the fun podcasters and creators that I got to see and hang out with. That'll be on No Filter All Access. I'll drop a bonus episode this week for you guys. So get ready, Freddie. Get ready. Let's get it. Let's get it. Give me a follow at Just Plain Zack. Follow the podcast at No Filter with Zack. And stay tuned. Chef Stu is going to be back on the podcast tomorrow. I love having all my friends on. I think December is going to be like a fa la 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 with fun panels. All my friends are going to be coming on, and I think it'll be just a good time, a fun time. All right, guys, I love you. I appreciate you. Hit the like button on your way out. Hit the subscribe button. Be sure to become a member of No Filter All Access. There's a link in the description below, as long as links to follow all of my friends. So tune in. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Tomorrow is only a day away.